So the clock is ticking and the transfer deadline is fastly approaching, and Arsenal, Chelsea and Borussia Dortmund are in a total merry-go-round. A week or so ago we were talking about Peter Crouch, we were talking about Ashley Barnes. This striker problem that Chelsea have got is fascinating, and it's going to go right to the wire. The BBC Sports writer David Ornstein has gone through the different options that could occur over the next few hours, and we're going to go through them now. And Rory from CFC FanTV is going to talk to me about what's the best deal for Chelsea, what's the worst deal for Chelsea, and what the fuck is going on at Chelsea. So let's go into it. Option 1, the straight swap. This seems like the obvious one. You've got Giroud, you've got Batshuayi, you've got Aubameyang in this whole merry-go-round. But the simple option is that Arsenal desperately want Aubameyang. Dortmund aren't going to let him go without a replacement. Straight swap. Giroud goes to Dortmund, Aubameyang goes to Arsenal. But that hasn't happened to this point. There have been problems with the personal terms of Giroud, less so I think Aubameyang. I think he's ready to move. So here are a couple of options. One is a bit of a merry-go-round where you have Michy Batshuayi who gets involved. Yep. He goes to Dortmund, Aubameyang goes to Arsenal. You pay 30 to 35 million for Giroud. Yeah. Thoughts on that one?
I think it's a weird one, isn't it? It's a strange situation at the moment because Chelsea, we are the most desperate. We are the team that are in most dire need of a signing to play centre forward, and yet we're the team that hold the keys. Like Chelsea are going to be the instigator for this merry-go-round to kickstart. Without us, I'm not quite sure if it will even happen. So we hold the keys in making it happen, but we are so desperate that we can't allow it not to happen. If worst case scenario for the other two, Arsenal are left with Giroud, which isn't a disaster as far as I'd be concerned. Aubameyang stays at Dortmund. I imagine that Dortmund fans would be over the moon by that, at least for what he can provide on the pitch.
Yeah. And you're left with
we need a replacement. Well, we don't need a replacement. What we actually need is an addition. Mm. So it's not ideal for us, but we need an answer to a problem up front. And if the board and the manager have decided that Olivier Giroud is the answer, then we need to make sure it happens, because without that, we're in big trouble. Yeah.
Option 3 is that Llorente gets involved again.
No.
You were after him in the summer. He went to Spurs instead. It hasn't really worked out there. Spurs are keen on a permanent move.
Yeah, I bet they are.
But it hasn't really worked. 25 million. We're chatting to the guys in the office. Flav is well happy with 25 million if they can get it for Llorente. At 32, again, he's not going to be the option. And I think the idea is that Batshuayi would then move on somewhere else. That would allow the Dortmund deal to maybe still happen, but I don't think Dortmund wants to go anywhere if it's not first choice. He certainly doesn't want to go to Spurs if he's not first choice, because he's had that problem with you guys. Batshuayi's got to feel really low. As strikers, confidence is huge for them. This is a guy who was, came for 30 million, and he's a striker that it feels like nobody wants.
I mean, I don't know if this would be music to Batshuayi's ears or not, but I want you. If you're watching this video, Michy, I personally think he's great. I think he's a brilliant striker. I think there are flaws to his game, of course. He's not the complete striker, but he has a knack for scoring not only a lot of goals, but hugely important goals. He won the league for us last year. We beat West Brom, we won the league, he scored the goal.
In one game. That's overhyped, though, isn't it?
He scored a last-minute winner away at Atletico Madrid. He scores big goals, and he scores a lot of goals. His goal per minute ratio is incredible. I think it's 11 goals in 8 games that he's started. It really is huge.
But for whatever reason, Antonio Conte really, really doesn't like him.
Correct.
They're looking, when there's been times where Morata's not been available, as in recent games, again, they still won't start him.
They won't start him. They started him against Newcastle in the Cup on the weekend. He scored 2 goals. I don't know what more he can do as a player. I know his link-up play is not perhaps what it should be, and his touch isn't ideal, but in terms of, if you view the role of a centre-forward, if the purpose of a centre-forward in your eyes is to convert a chance, to put the ball in the back of the net, simply A to B, get the ball from here, past that keeper. I don't know if there's anyone, certainly in this conversation, that's better at simply doing that. Simply scoring a goal.
Well, I think a lot of people will say, Arsenal fans would say that Giroud's got has got a good, really, really good record at Arsenal. Aubameyang scored mountains of goals at Dortmund. I think the cheapest, the worst pawn in this whole game is Batshuayi, in my opinion.
I think I think if somebody can get Batshuayi playing to his full potential, they have an incredibly good player on their hands.
A player that's better than Giroud or Aubameyang?
Different. Better. Overall, of course, he's not better at the moment, but what you have is a raw diamond. You have somebody who you could potentially make an excellent player because the minerals are there. You just have to get him playing in the right way, play to his strengths. And like I say, in terms of simply converting a chance, he is ruthless.
So what is the best deal for Chelsea?
The best deal for Chelsea isn't on your options. As a QPR fan, you haven't given me the best option. Can I create an option? Am I allowed to create an option?
Well, this is the thing. The closer it gets, let's remember, Giroud, it seems like it's quite clear that he is not going to be the first choice at Arsenal, but he has played a lot of games for France, and this is probably his last chance at another World Cup with France. So he needs to be playing football. He needs to get out the door.
Yeah, Giroud certainly needs to be playing, and I think that any other club, he would be getting game time. You know, he's played a lot of games for Arsenal over the years, and his conversion rate hasn't been as high as I think they would have expected. That doesn't mean that he's not a good option. In our case, bearing in mind that we were linked with Ashley Barnes not long ago, I feel like that little emoji, like, whoa, if we can get hold of Giroud now. I know that it sounds weird because it's not a player that we would have been pursued so eagerly over the years, but the situation we're in now, Giroud is the holy grail. But the dream scenario, which isn't on there, is that everything stays in place as is, and we just buy Giroud. So Morata stays as our main man. Batshuayi goes nowhere. He's a very good option to have. And Olivier Giroud comes in, giving us 3 strikers, which isn't excessive.
Yeah.
You know, I remember watching a Chelsea team where Nicolas Anelka was our 3rd choice. He was a brilliant player. You've
got a lot of games to play as well.
Exactly. So that's the dream, but that's not going to happen. Because for the dream to happen, for Giroud to sign for Chelsea, it needs to be part of that entire. Like, there's a lot of cogs. They won't sell if they don't sell. Yeah. And the way that all starts off is us losing Batshuayi.
And what about the nightmare scenario? Look, you've seen Matic go to Manchester United. You've seen these. The last thing you want to do, which you did do it in the summer, even if you think it was the right time for people to part ways, you did strengthen a rival.
Yeah. We've got a terrible history. We've got a terrible history of doing that. I remember when we sold Petr Cech to Arsenal, I was livid because I felt that Arsenal were in a very delicate position. They were probably 2 world-class players away from really launching a sustained and serious bid to win the Premier League. We gave him one of those players. At the time, I thought Petr Cech was still good enough to play for Chelsea. I thought he was still better than Thibaut Courtois at the time. I thought, what are we doing? Why would you strengthen somebody like that? So that can't happen again, I hope.
But in a roundabout way, quite literally, if you let Batshuayi go to Dortmund, you're going to get Giroud, but Arsenal are going to get Aubameyang. But they are the strongest. They get the best out of that deal. They get the best out of those 3 players. Let us know in the comments. I reckon most people will be saying that Aubameyang out of those 3 players is the best player. Surely.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
And so you are strengthening your rivals.
We're strengthening it. It's cutting off your nose to spite your face if we don't do that, though. So we need. Look, the dream, I suppose, from my perspective, sitting here with you, would be we just go and buy Aubameyang. That would be brilliant. But that's not.
Can you imagine?
That's not going to happen. So
I mean,
no, because I think where we need strengthening, the way that Conte clearly has a philosophy, and the reason that we've been linked with all of these 6-foot-plus strikers is because he wants an option. He wants the option to go long. He wants the options for Giroud or whoever it is, player X, to hold the ball up. And there's a system in place here. And I think it's probably thinking that we're going to be playing Barcelona soon. We're not going to have a lot of the ball. We're going to be playing in the new camp. You need the option of going long and letting Giroud hold the ball up, win you a free kick, take the pressure off the defence. So Aubameyang, as wonderful a striker as he is, isn't that man. Right. So I think we need an option. But the nightmare scenario for me, and I can't even countenance the Llorente deal. So let's just say that's not going to happen, please. Can we do that? Can I just discount one? Fine. So that's not the nightmare because that's not real.
Okay.
The nightmare is nothing happens, which I think is quite a realistic possibility. The nightmare is that we continue the season with 2 strikers, which is just ridiculous considering the amount of football that we've already played.
Yeah.
We continue the season with 2 strikers, one of which, for whatever reason, isn't rated by our manager. So effectively, we continue the season with 1 striker.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's a poor outcome to this window.
Yeah, totally. And on a wider point of view, as you know, as a Chelsea fan that is used to getting the players that you want, do you look at this entire window and go, what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. This window has been a farce. It's been a disaster from the second that it opened to, you know, the final day, which is where we are now. It hasn't been good enough, and it's spilled over from what happened in the summer. The summer transfer window was poor. It's continued into this window, and the fact that at points we were linked with players like Peter Crouch and Ashley Barnes, it is laughable. You know, people have been finding it very entertaining. What they would contribute to Chelsea's first team, I don't know. The fact that we've been blessed and we've been very privileged as a support base to have watched players with the grace of Didier Drogba and the brilliance of Hernan Crespo and, you know, the just sheer brute force and eye for a goal of Diego Costa. The fact that we're now talking about players like Andy Carroll, it's a shocking testament to the board and the way that they've let it get into this sort of untenable situation. And the person who I feel most sorry for in this whole thing is Antonio Conte. Antonio Conte came into a Chelsea team that was deflated. The difference and the gap between me as a supporter and the players on the pitch had never felt greater. You know, it was a terrible season when it all went wrong with Mourinho. And Antonio Conte came in, he steadied the ship, and he made us the spirit around Chelsea. It went from being quite a poisonous atmosphere under Hiddink to being just wonderful. It was a beautiful place to be, Stamford Bridge.
Yeah.
And the fact that they have let that man who came in and did that, they've hung him out to dry. And how can he now be linked with players like Ashley Barnes?
So this has to be the most exciting story for the neutrals, but Chelsea fans, Arsenal fans, Borussia Dortmund fans, let us know your thoughts on this. Are you sort of worried, or are you excited by the chance of getting Giroud, Aubameyang or Batshuayi in your side? Chelsea fans, let us know your thoughts on the whole transfer window. Head over to CFC FanTV. They've got great content there. Go subscribe to them. Subscribe to Bull Street whilst you're here. Let us know your thoughts, and we'll see you very soon.